Mr. Rob Reiner was not only an amazing director and storyteller, but he was also very good with his words. Let's take a listen.
A racist in the White House. We have a sexist in the White House, and he is tearing away at the fabric of our democracy.
The single most unqualified human being to ever assume the presidency of the United States. He's mentally unfit.
People always say, you know, he could redo All in the Family. I said, what do you mean? We're living it. We've got Archie in the White House. He always, when he quotes something that isn't him, and they're talking about Donald Trump, he goes, "Well, Donald Trump, every character is exactly the same. Well, Donald Trump, every time." And he always does that walk where he does like this, you know? Always.
The problem he has, as far as I can see, is that he's a pathological liar. People have to understand our democracy is being taken away from us. Make no mistake, we have a year before this country becomes a full-on autocracy.
This is not a political party anymore. I don't know what this is. I believe there's a Christian nationalist movement that's very frightening. Do we want to continue democracy, or do we want to slip into fascism?
Yeah. So that's Mr. Reiner.
Like you've been the only one that's feeling.
You gotta lead from the top, you know.
Well,
Having a high profile.
It's a scary time. Right?
Yeah.
And if he gets in,
2024 is way too close.
It's the end of democracy.
You know, it's funny. He said that Trump being reelected was a scary time. You know what I would consider a scary time? How about your son Nick's first birthday party? See, you don't get to attack me for years. You don't get to call for my death. You don't get to call for my imprisonment. You don't get to call me all types of names and slurs. And a man with as much prominence and reach as a Robert Reiner coming out on the forefront and attacking someone like Trump for years, you do not get to literally declare war against me for years, then die, then expect for me to be forgiving and play nice and be the bigger person. I am not the bigger person. I'm the president. I'm not a king, remember? I'm a president. I'm not your God. I'm not your pastor. I'm just a man. I'm your president, but I'm only human. I am only a person. You don't get to lie about me for years. You don't get to exaggerate about me. You don't get to drag my name through the mud. You do not get to pretend that every problem in our American society magically began the day after my inauguration. And then you die because of your liberal Democrat mindset. Literally got himself killed with his own ideology, which I can explain more in detail. His son's not the first spoiled, rich, liberal child, confused about life and sexuality and gender and responsibility. He is not the first to have a troubled son that either killed him or tried to kill him or ends up in prison or ends up in rehab or whatever. And he's not going to be the last. Robert Reiner's story is not unique. What is unique, though? Directed The Princess's Bride. Also, Stand By Me. He was the dad in The Wolf of Wall Street. That's unique. And people keep saying, well, he was in The Wolf of Wall Street. He didn't direct it. Shut the fuck up. Okay, Michael Jordan was a basketball player, but was he not also the coach too? Let's be real. You don't take somebody who's a mega super director, put him in a movie, and expect for him not to have some critiques or give some pointers, okay? You don't put Kobe on the court and then you're the coach and he says, all right, coach, shut the hell up. Trump is only a human. He is a person. You do not get to try to destroy him and call for his death, his murder, call for his assassination, cheer when he's almost assassinated. You do not get to do that. And then when your own kid kills you, Trump has to now be the bigger person. That's fucking ridiculous. And you guys, and you know what? There are people who I respect in this space who also do videos and make content like myself, who did not want me to make a video about this. And guess what? If I have to do what you want me to do and do what you like for you to like me, then just don't like me. I'm not good at maintaining those types of relationships. Ask my ex. I'm just not. So I'm not going to do it now. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. People die every day, B. It happens. His liberal ideology destroyed his son. Why do you think all these women are out here saying, why can't I find a good liberal man to marry? There is no such thing. A liberal man is called a woman. It's an oxymoron. I really wish Blanche was in this video. Me and Blanche talked. I gotta get on. Actually, when this video's over, I'm gonna contact Blanche. Hopefully we can go live today and go over this. Okay, let me see here. Let's see here. Camera, visual effects, blur, green screen, blur. Okay. There we go. Sorry. So hopefully I can get Blanche on here and we can talk about this. But to say you want a liberal man is an oxymoron. Also, and this is not to poke fun at Rob, because I'm gonna tell you the truth. Being a parent is one of the hardest jobs in the world. You never know how your kids are gonna be. You can be the perfect parent. Your kids are gonna be fucked up. That's nothing you can do about that. A lot of kids are born who they are when they're born already, and they're already destined upon a path. The best you can do is try to guide them, but even that's not a guarantee. But Rob Reiner admitted that one of his own shortcomings when raising his children was that tough love wasn't a part of his DNA because he's a liberal. When you're raising men, or when you're expecting men to eventually grow up, a rule of thumb is it takes iron to sharpen iron. You can't just give boys everything and expect them to develop healthy habits. Unfortunately, a struggle is required for boys to become men. There must be adversity. Life cannot be too easy or you're never going to grow up. A lot of these people in Hollywood, they make a lot of money, but they work a lot of hours. You know, it's crazy. So his son's older than me, but he was born in the 80s. I'm looking at Reiner's movie catalog. His best goddamn movies were in the early 80s, all the way through the 90s. And I'm thinking, when he was pretty much at work 320 days a year. So when was he ever around to raise his kids? You're not there. You can't be there. Most good parents are busy working because you have to provide for children. You can't always be there. That's just not realistic. The point is, when you're just giving kids money to pacify them and you're shooing them away, that's not the answer. They're going to develop animosity. They're going to develop drug. Think about it. When I was 11 years old, I could not afford drugs, or maybe I would be strung out too, but I didn't have any money. I'm fucking 11. So his son was already in rehab by that time. So that means he was already on drugs, 12, 13, 14. So that means you have no parental supervision, access to money, and nobody to stop you. That's pretty dangerous combination. But a liberal parent does not believe in disciplining children. That's not a part of the doctrine. Actually, you let kids do what they want to do. As a liberal, you'll let your own son decide if he wants to be a girl at 6 years old, you'll chop his wee-wee off. Or what are you going to do? Put a baseball cap on your daughter if she wants to be a boy? You can't just give her a wee-wee. It's always weird how they want to go the other way. And then when these kids grow up and they realize their parents allowed them to do horrific things to themselves in the name of, I don't know, being a liberal, being a Democrat, they become ashamed and upset. You know, you're 12 years old, you tell your parents, I want to be a girl, and they go let you get a boyfriend, another boy, and they encourage you guys to be gay. When you grow out of that stage and you're 17, 18 years old, and you're like, wow, I used to fucking kiss boys, other boys, and be gay. A lot of kids will just off themselves. Or they become so confused, they just dilute themselves with drugs. We see this happen every single day, which is why I preach to people, even if you watch my other content, the gay agenda is the depopulation agenda. So if you're pushing the gay lifestyle and the LGBT on children young, you're pushing for them to commit suicide young as well, because there is no future. There's no children. There's no family. There's no husband. There's no wife. In those equations, it leads to death. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at this whole, oh, I want to be a liberal parent and I want to be so considerate and so nice. Now I went over a little bit about what Reiner said, and you guys heard the first video. I'll play it again for those who just came in. Let's see here. I'll just play one more time just in case, just so you guys can know where we are, just so you can know where we are.
In the White.
Now, what's crazy to me is I don't understand why people talk about being racist like that's like a horrible thing. Being racist doesn't mean what it used to be. See, to racism used to have a definition. It wasn't just, well, we get in a car accident and I'm white and you're black. That's racism. Racism used to mean restriction. Because of how I look or because of my skin color, I can't drink from this water fountain, which if there's another water fountain over here, that's for me. Why the fuck can I just drink from mine? It's the same water. Last time that I checked, unless white water got gold infused in it or something, which it doesn't. But people talk about that like that's the most horrible insult in the world. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's not even that bad. I mean, and then how do you know somebody is, what does that even mean to be racist? That I don't like you? I'm an American. I don't have to like anybody. Fuck you and all of your people. How about that? I don't like none of you. I don't like my own people. You don't ever see me with a bunch of fucking Cubans. Do you see me hanging out in the parking lot of a Walmart? No, I don't hang out with a bunch of Cubans. Just don't. I don't have to like anybody. When I say my people, I mean people of like mind. Conservative people, Americans, patriots. People are proud of who they are, where they're from, and we hold our values and ideals true. When I say my people, I don't mean people that we share similar skin color or hair texture. That's superficial bullshit. I'm talking about how we think. That's who we are, not how we look. So he's talking about, oh, we have a racist and a white. It's all just buzzwords to make you not like somebody, but that doesn't mean anything. That's not even an insult no more. Calling somebody racist is like calling somebody anti-Semitic. It doesn't actually mean anything.
A racist in the White House. We have a sexist in the White House.
Now, behind him, I see a lot of band equipment. Last time that I checked, Rob Reiner was a director. Now, unless this is maybe a remake of the movie Spinal Tap, he's on stage going out of his way to slam a man. Now, let's be real. Trump is 80. Reiner is 78. They're both rich white men in the United States. You know what that tells me? They know each other, or they knew each other. This tells me they've also crossed paths. Before Trump was a politician, he was a successful celebrity from The Apprentice. He did other movies, but he was also a businessman, business owner. Reiner knew him for all those years that they were, because they shared the earth. They shared this country together at the same amount of time. They coexisted here for 60 something odd years. And then all of a sudden, Reiner wants to go on stage and talk shit about him for the past 10 years. So they spent almost 70 something years together and they were doing just fine. They were probably friends. They've met each other probably 1,000 times. They probably had dinner together, could have shared girlfriends. Who knows? My guys, Trump's a little playboy sometimes. Had all those years and never had zero smoke for Trump. Soon as Trump elevates himself to the presidency, instead of congratulating his old friend, his good old chum, his buddy old pal, he starts to talk like he's some gay black girl. He's a racist, sexist, misogyny. You're a rich white man yourself. Everything you're saying about Trump, somebody could just make up about you. Oh, but you go out of your way to show how liberal you are. So anything goes, and that even includes your kids. You know, one thing I learned about life, kids want discipline. Kids want structure. We want parents. We don't. We might pretend we want to do what we want to do, but we want guidance. We need guidance. We need to know what to do. And you can ruin your kids. You can ruin people by making things too easy on them. I sit here today as proof. I have, I come from a big family. I have relatives and cousins and people. I've done way more for them than I should have. And I made them weak. And I'm not even their parent. I'm their cousin. I'm their brother. I made them weak because I enabled them. They never had to go get jobs and work because they could just live with me. And I'm so nice and loving, which was damn near liberal. Okay, minus the gay stuff. And I would just let them live off me. And I'm thinking, man, because much is given, much is required. Maybe God wants me to take care of adults. That's bullshit. And that's not true. You have to take care of yourself, and you got to teach others to take care of themselves. You have to teach men how to fish in a way. And my family's all boys. There's no girl because it's all men. So everything goes, there's no right answer except force them to work and take care of themselves, because it'll backfire on you in the future when you don't. But this is what Trump was dealing with.
He is tearing away at the fabric of our democracy.
The single most unqualified human being to ever assume the presidency of the United States. He's mentally unfit.
People always say, he could.
Those are strong words, but what about your son's mental fitness? That always surprises me, is people have all this advice, but they can't apply it to themselves in their own situation. So they want to tell me how to live and they want to criticize me, but they won't criticize their own wife, their own kids, and they're giving me advice, but they've never applied it to themselves. Isn't that just insane?
Redo all the family. I said, what do you mean? We're living it. We've got Archie in the White House.
Now, this is, again, an esteemed, world famous director. So his speech has extreme reach. Do you know how much this must have hurt Trump back in the early days, when somebody he's known forever is now sitting up here talking like this about him? I would say jealousy and envy. People are like, well, what's he got to be jealous of? He's rich too. Yeah, but he's not the president. He didn't make it. He's not that fucking rich. He didn't make it to become the most powerful man on earth. Some things are more important than money. So yeah, it could have been some jealousy and some envy there, because there's no other reason to attack Trump with all these buzzwords, because he's saying a lot of words. He's not giving much evidence. Even what Trump said about him is not evidence of Trump being this horrible person. And listen, I was watching Jesse on Fire last night. Follow him. He gave me a shout out, and I appreciate you, Jesse. I think you're great. I heard your take on this particular topic. I just disagree. Remember, Trump is not a king. He's also not a god. Last time I checked, he's just a man with a job. Right now, his job is the president, but he's still a human. He still has feelings, and you do not get to declare war on me for 10 years straight, and then, God forbid, something horrible happens to you, but I'm expected to be the bigger person. That is complete, utter nonsense and bullshit. I'm so sorry. I have to back the commander in chief, because you guys have reminded me that he is not a king. You would expect the king to be humble, the king to be forgiving. You would expect God to be forgiving. You pray for God's forgiveness. You ask Jesus for forgiveness. Trump is none of the three. He's not even a hybrid. He's not God King. He's not Jeremy Boring from the Daily Wire. He's just Trump. And if Trump says fuck you, then it's fuck you. Because Trump is not a king. He's not a God. He's not Jesus. But he is a New Yorker. People keep forgetting. Trump's a New Yorker. He's from New York. And what's everybody in New York famous for saying now in 2025? Suck my dick, rah, rah, rah. But Trump didn't say that. Now, he could have put that. He could have put a very sad thing happened last night to Hollywood, Rob Reiner. Hey, yo, son, take my Tim and you suck my dick. He could talk like a regular New Yorker, but he didn't. He said a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood, which was true. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star. Why that's opinion. That's Trump's opinion. Was he tortured and struggling? According to these videos, yes. Trump lives in your mind rent-free. You're wasting time talking about Trump, but he hasn't attacked you. He's not doing anything to you. Now, this is my job by choice. I do reaction videos and I do commentary. I talk about politics and relations, all kinds of stuff, right? So this is what I do. But this isn't what Rob does. But he went out of his way and he's telling people this around the world to disparage our president of the United States of America, which is disgusting.
He always, when he quotes something that isn't him, and they're talking about Donald Trump, he goes, well, Donald Trump, bo, 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 bo. Every character is exactly the same. Well, Donald Trump, bo, bo, bo.
He has a lot of critique for another man, a lot of smoke. And Trump never hit back at him. Trump was like, you know what? You're a liberal man. Things are they're not going to go your way. And Trump outlived them. That's always the key. That's how you know you won, is if you can outlive your enemy. And I say enemy because Rob Reiner declared war against Trump. It wasn't one or two comments over 10 years. This was a full-time career slamming Trump. Full-time. He dedicated years into this. I mean, he's literally on stages talking about Trump. But once a very talented movie director and comedy star has passed away, together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with mind-crippling disease known as TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. Okay. Let's think about what he just said. This happened due to the anger he caused others through his massive and unyielding and incurable affliction of a mind-crippling disease. The other name for that disease is liberalism. TDS and liberalism, they run parallel to each other. It's kind of like COVID and the flu, right? They're one and the same, but you can call one without calling it the other, but you can't call it the other without calling it this. It's the same thing. Liberalism is a mind-crippling disease. It makes you believe that men can give birth and children can decide what they want to do with their bodies even before they can legally drink. Liberalism tells you that borders should be open, but you should still be allowed to have a lock on your front door. But I can't lock the borders. I can't close those, but everything else stays open. Liberalism tells you that, I want everybody to live. I want everybody to be able to get SNAP and EBT benefits, but I don't want to pay for it with my own money in the form of being taxed at 90% to cover these government subsidies. That's a mind-crippling virus. That means you have something wrong with you. You're double-minded. You're not thinking about the effects, consequences, or the costs behind your decisions. He hated everything about Trump, but he never explained why. I mean, he described how he walks and talks. So that means he's been studying the man, studying him. Usually when I don't like somebody, I just ignore them, but he studied Trump for a long time. And liberalism is what he spread to his children. Having a liberal daughter, that makes sense. But when you spread liberalism to a son, and then the son finally realizes what you've done to him and what you impressed upon him, and how much time and how many years he lost with that fucked up ideology and mindset. I mean, a lot of these kids, again, they go through gay stages, they go through a trans identity crisis. So I'm reading about Nick, and the identity and sexuality conflict led to his drug abuse addiction to cope with those decisions. And I'm sure his father supported everything. If there was some gay stuff in there, I'm sure he supported that too, when he should have been against it, because it's unnatural and it's creepy because of the fecal matter stuff. And he didn't. He probably told him, no, it's okay, do what you want to do, and gave him money. And then when that's over, and eventually a man who's so weak because he's liberal, they don't believe in accountability. So naturally, his son came back, blamed him and his stepmother for all the problems, because I don't believe that was his mother. I believe that was his new wife. I think Michelle was his current wife, but his ex-wife is the mother of, I think, one or two of their kids. But after he came back, and because he's the liberal mindset, like Trump said, it's crippling, it's incurable, and he impressed it upon others. He came back and he blamed his father for all of his issues. And he could have just walked away, but he took an action against his father. He blamed his father for his issues, and he wanted his revenge, and he took his revenge. That's what when Trump says, because Trump's a father also. We men understand where this comes from. Men, I'll be honest, people don't understand. The mental stability of a man is hanging on daily by a thread, because there's just so many things coming at us, and we're just fighting to keep our sanity. It won't take much to breach that. This guy was troubled for years. He could have did this a long time ago. And granted, his father tried to put him in production and get him to start working. You got to put kids to work young. You can't wait until they're older and out of rehab to think you can kind of mold them. Those days are over. Kids are who they are going to be by the age of 14. Parenting is out of the window at that point. And by 14, he was already in rehab. So there were some failures on that part for him. Trump also continues by saying he was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession with President Donald J. Trump. Now, can anyone deny that after watching this video?
White House, and he is tearing away at the fabric of our democracy.
We are not a fucking democracy. Why do these, I can't call him a moron. I mean, he made misery. So, but I don't know. Why do these people, why do they keep saying, we don't have a democracy? We are a republic, a constitutional republic. The only democracy we have is when we do voting in different districts, and we have an electoral college. We're not even a majority mob. We're not even a majority rule country. We have an electoral college for a reason. But they misrepresent all of this. And again, I'm sure this hurt Trump. This hurt his reputation. This hurt his feelings. Remember, they're the same age. They've coexisted and came across each other over the years, probably 2-3 million times. So was Trump justified in this? Yes. Am I going to condemn Trump for this? I can't. I've been in this position before. Somebody pisses you off, just because they die doesn't mean it's over. Trump could be dead next week. We still beefing in the afterlife too. Some people get over stuff, and some people can put things behind them. Not all of us have that. I'm one of those people. I don't have that in me. If I told you I put it behind me, I lied.
The single most unqualified human being to ever assume the presidency of the United States.
That's way worse than what Trump said about him. So that he had a raging obsession with Donald J. Trump, It was obvious with his with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Did his paranoia grow this year? Was he still trashing Trump up until the day his son killed him? Absolutely. Is the Trump administration not surpassing all of its goals? Absolutely. Now, other people might not agree with some of this because they don't pay attention. I read the news for a living every day. It's my job to dissect everything and regurgitate it back to you guys in layman's terms, so it's a little bit easier for you to understand. But I read through everything and I kind of give you the highlights. We have millions of people that have self-deported and millions more that have been arrested and deported. What that equals is that there are millions of jobs now open that are being returned to Americans. The rent is dropping in certain cities by 20%, 25%. There's an apartment in LA that I was looking at last year that I wanted to do an Airbnb with, but it's just difficult in LA because of the rules. And it was $3,400. The same apartment at this nice building in downtown LA, today it was $2,850. From $3,400, it's $2,850 for the exact same unit today. What's the biggest difference between LA? What's the difference between last year LA and this year? Oh yeah, illegal alien population. It dropped. Therefore, the results. I'm literally joining, and I support ICE right now. And this is my job is to support ICE and explain ICE. I'm like how Brandon Tatum was for uniform cops. I'm that for immigration and customs enforcement right now. When I see the results from ICE, how many children have been rescued from pedophiles, how many jobs are returning to the cities, the crime rate going down, and then the rent. So now my friends are going back to work and making more money. Plus, it's costing us less money to live in our home city. So you mean to tell me in 3 years, I might be able to go back home to California and won't be priced out and everyone won't be trying to rob and kill me because they have jobs? Because you know the people that are out here robbing and stealing, it's because we never had an opportunity to work. We could never get a job. They were all taken by illegals. So you're just wandering around LA all day. Why do you think there's always traffic all the time? No one has anything to do. But now my friends are going back to work. This is beautiful. So yeah, I mean, this is our golden age right now. And he said it, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. I don't know who people think Trump is or what they expect from him, but they're wrong. Again, he's not your God. He's not your king. He's not the God king. He's just a man. He's a human. He has feelings. He has an ego. And he has every right to defend himself. Period. Hard stop. He's not obliged to be forgiving or to be understanding. You aren't always forgiving and understanding. You're not even forgiving and understanding about Trump right now. You act like you don't understand where he's coming from or why he said those things. This fucking guy, which I hate to say it because I didn't know about him doing all this to Trump, he declared war. You don't get to declare war against me and my family and my administration while I'm trying to do the best that I can to save our republic. You don't get to declare war against me, then you get killed, then I'm expected to be the bigger person. That's not happening. That's nonsensical and that's out. That's out. We're going to live in the real world. We're going to be adults. If you don't want me to talk bad about you when you die, then you got two options. Don't talk bad about me while you're alive, or you don't die. And choose one. But at least you have a choice. Rob Reiner could have contacted Trump's administration and said, hey, I don't agree with what you're doing all the time, but what can I do to help? I want to make this country great again. What can I do? How can I contribute? Why do you think I talk bad about Jasmine Crockett? How long she's been in politics and how much has she accomplished? That dumb, pretty little broad hasn't even gotten a street built in her community, No laws passed. Nothing's changed. Nothing's improved. All she does is just sit around and badmouth Trump and white Americans all day. She went to Trump and says, hey, look, I got this other legislation I was thinking about. It's going to help bring some, help with removing some of the red tape so we can get some warehouses or factories open in my neighborhood, put some people to work. No. All she does is just sit around and talk bad about how Trump's white and he's evil and he's racist and how he thinks. Bitch, you can't read minds. When did you become a psychic? If you can read minds, why you didn't know the mother black people was about to kill Pop Smoke? If you could read minds, why you didn't know some black people was going to kill PNB Rock? That's crazy about these black Democrats, these black liberals. They can only read the minds of white people, but they can never read the minds of the black people around them that are about to kill them. But they can tell you what white people think, but they can't tell you about what killer black people are thinking literally right before they're about to do the killing. What an odd thing to specialize in. They can tell you everything about what the white people, well, they look at me and this, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you must be some kind of psychic. Wow. Then why didn't you know that anything else white, you can't tell me anything a black person is thinking or what they're about to do, but you know everything about white people. That's why I can't take them seriously. So when I look at these people that have all this horrible stuff to say about Trump, especially when they have a platform like Jasmine Crockett, where she has access to the president, and Rob Reiner, who also had full access to the president, they never thought to reach out to him and say, hey, look, what can I do so that we can do something together to make things better? I want to be involved. Everybody wants to just sit on the sideline and bitch and complain. No one understands how hard this job is. It's like when it comes to police. Everybody wants to bitch and complain about police. Bro, I've been watching lately, and that's why I do these other reaction videos. Just make sure you like my page. Make sure you like this channel. Like this video. It puts me in the algorithm. And I do appreciate all my new subscribers and followers. And that's why I try to react to your comments. And this was a comment I got when I was talking the other day. So I'm reacting to this comment. But and I appreciate all your support. Please keep tuning in and keep liking this material. But when I see Jesus, I lost my train of thought. I had a really, really good point to make. Oh, police. So thank you. You guys reminded me in the comments. Thank you very much. So I'm watching body cam footage, right? Thousands of hours of it. So you feel like you're there. I feel like I'm a police officer. I'm watching a body cam. I feel like I'm there. I'm watching them move around and stuff. That has to be the most difficult job in the universe. Because think about it. You have one person lying, then you have another person lying, and you got to see who's lying the hardest. Then you got to decide how to react. And then they throw in there a curveball. You're not allowed to arrest black people anymore unless you want to lose your job. So you can only now arrest certain people. So if the person's white, you tell them, get out of the car and show me your ID. If they say, but officer, why'd I get pulled over? You can snatch them out of the car, stomp them, and tackle them because they're white. If a black person says, who you gonna ask me for mine? You have to sit there and talk to the black person in the car for an hour. And then you have to get on your knees and pray to him. And then you got to pray to Jesus and beg for the person to please get out of the car and please comply. And you got to tell the black criminal to put the handcuffs on themselves, because if you put it on a little bit too tight, they're going to call you in the room. They're going to call you racist, and you're going to get fired. You're going to lose your cushy little job, and your kids got to eat. So they throw that in there. Then they expect you to be a police officer and figure out how to keep the public safe. No, that's the most difficult job in the world. Body cam footage has completely changed my outlook on law enforcement and police work. So imagine how hard the job is being president when you're not a clairvoyant like some of the other people that can read minds. You're not a psychic. You're just a man. It's difficult. You know, I've had friends and family members turn on me, and I remember, I'm used to it by now. Nobody likes Rico, and I've accepted it. No one has to. So I have dogs. They think I'm great. Actually, my live audience that I remember I say I'm doing this show in front of a live audience. It's usually my 3 dogs, and one of them falls asleep, but my 2 girl dogs, they literally sit there. I think they like the content. They're pretty attentive. But but again, it's a hard job. It's a very, very difficult job. And you can't really, and you know what? Try doing something, try adding to it, try offering assistance. Anything is better than just sitting around and wasting your time talking shit and bitching and complaining. Why not do something constructive and see how you can help? You know, at one point in time, I used to sit on here and watch people make videos like this, and I would critique them and complain about them and say, they're not talking about this, they're missing that point, this and this. And it's like, okay, if I feel so strongly about it, why don't I become the change that I want to see? So I grabbed the microphone myself. So now I can't blame anybody else for not talking about the things that I deem important, because I am the somebody that has to talk about those things that I deem important. And there are a few people that I watch. I'll be honest, I like Mr. Let Go. I watch his content. Now I'm watching Barron. I wanted to bring up about the pilots with the Charlie Kirk stuff. You got to see about this surgeon pilot that speaks all these languages. Basically, he's a CIA. He's like some kind of, he's definitely a spook. I don't even know if he's a real person. He's definitely a spook, but you got to watch that. It's on the real Barron. But I mean, there's certain people, and of course, Candace, because they're authentic, real people. They're not elected to do anything. They just decided to speak, you know, and just like, and everyone's like, you don't have a lot of people in your audience. You don't have a huge following. And I'm like, where do you think everyone started from? Everyone starts off with just, I remember I used to be on live and it would say, I used to be on here and before I had like a nice mic and everything, I used to be on here and it would say I had 0 people in the audience. And and you just have to not look at it and just keep talking and then just keep going over your topics, and then you share it. And then eventually somebody will see it, and then somebody else. And then next thing you know, you have an audience. You have people that care about hearing what you have to say, people who can relate to you. I can relate to some of these other people, but there are things that they're missing, things they're not willing to say. They're worried about relationships. I broke up with all my girlfriends. Obviously, I'm not worried about relationships. So I talk about things other people don't want to. Nobody is coming on the internet today and making a video publicly outlining and the reason that Trump's reaction to the Rob Reiner murder is fair. Nobody wanted to do it with me. I tried to get another podcaster to come on here and talk about Trump with me. And even though they're Trump supporters also, they weren't going to go this far because everyone believes in etiquette for Trump, but they don't believe in etiquette for others. So basically, the entire country, 99.999%, they can basically just carpet bomb Trump with insults 24 hours a day. But if Trump says something to them, pre or post-mortem, well, now it's a crime against humanity. Get the hell out of here. We're not accepting that. The way it works, as far as I remember in the Bible, is do unto others as you want them to do unto you, right? So if you're going to sit here and you're going to badmouth Trump, then you should expect for him to also badmouth you. Remember, you have 2 choices. Don't talk bad about people, or don't talk bad about the people and don't die. You can choose one. Don't die or don't talk shit about people if you don't want them to talk about you when you die. Just don't do it. You have an option. So look, I'm glad we could talk about this. It's been a really good talk, and it explains a lot. Oh, I want to finish the video. I know you guys like all the Trump insults, right? So we'll just finish.
He's mentally unfit.
People always say, you know, you can redo all the family. I said, what do you mean? We're living it. We've got Archie in the White House. He always, when he quotes something that isn't him, and they're talking about Donald Trump, he goes, well, Donald Trump, every character is exactly the same. Well, Donald Trump, every time. And he always does that walk where he does like this, you know.
Why are people even laughing? I don't think any of this shit's even funny. how do you make fun of somebody that walks when there are handicapped people out there? I mean, at least he has legs. Some men his age can't walk. They have to use crutches and stuff. And the man is still walking tall. And you want to sit up here and make fun of him for what? Boom, 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 boom. Nothing he did in particular. Just general blanket insults, like which are like the lowest IQ of insults, which is ridiculous.
The problem,
at least my insults are specific and they're racial and they're direct. So they make sense. Like I give examples. When I make an insult, I explain my insults. I don't just do blanket insults, So, and these are very open-ended insults. I don't even think they're not funny. They're not really it's just, it's slop.
he has, as far as I can see, is that he's a pathological liar. People have,
but they never tell you what he lied about. Well, he told me he had a really big inauguration. Well, it was his first one. For him, it was big. What are you expecting? He's not an inaugural specialist. I mean, for him, it's his first. Right now, with my few hundred viewers, this is a huge audience for me. But Candace Owens is like, I farted and more followers and subscribers and that fell out. Like, so for her, it's not big. For me, it's huge. But then again, I'm a new channel. So it's up to me to kind of grab your attention. And hopefully you guys agree with what I'm saying. You guys can see my point. I appreciate the comments and you guys tuning in and still sharing it. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe, share the video, and push me into the algorithm. Every little bit counts. I see you guys are coming from X and Twitter. They're coming over to YouTube. So on YouTube, my primary channel is The Single Boyfriend. My secondary is it's Right Wing Rico, because obviously I'm a controversial right-wing commentary. The Single Boyfriend was my relationship page, but I'm not responsible enough to separate everything. So I just push everything in StreamYard. I just make videos to both platforms simultaneously and to all the other platforms you guys are watching me on. So I appreciate it, and I'll keep making more for you guys. I try to keep you as entertained as possible so that you never have to go back to Tim Pool or Fox News or Don Lemon. You never have to listen to Anderson Cooper try to finesse you into getting a boyfriend if you're a man or anything like that, because that's all CNN. That's all they ever did. If you think about it, they're just grooming you to be fake and gay. And I want better for you than that. I don't want you to be fake, and I don't want you to be gay. Unless you're a hot little blonde chick and there's another hot little blonde chick and we're out somewhere partying temporarily, we'll give you a gay pass. Everything besides that is fake and gay. We don't like it. We don't do it. That's a very specific and rare circumstance that it's that we're given a pass upon. So, but besides that, we're not doing it any other times. Okay.
to understand, our democracy is being taken away from us.
Nobody can take away your democracy. If anything, you're giving away your democracy when you're allowing illegals to come into the country, because, well, the democracy, the only thing democracy could be speaking of is a right to vote. For every one illegal that votes, one actual citizenship loses a vote. So your vote becomes diluted per illegal that votes illegal in your elections. And yes, now we know, because of SNAP and everything that's came out lately, illegals, they all vote. All the Somalians, all the Mexicans, all the illegal Cubans, anybody who's an illegal alien in this country, that's what you have to do so you can keep your benefits. You have to vote illegally. And guess what? There's not going to be an audit. You're not going to get arrested. There's no consequences, because we're not a serious country. We're not a serious country. We don't care about election security. That's why you don't need an ID to vote. Anybody can vote. You can have your dog. You can put a backpack on your dog and tell him to go down to the voting station, and he'll pick up. And guess what? The lady in the place, oh, there's a dog here with a backpack. And she'll open up the backpack and take out a bunch of ballots and file those fuckers. And with no questions asked. And give your dog a biscuit, and your dog could go back. Your dog could ballot harvest in most of these states, and nobody will say anything, because we're not a serious country. So if he's going to talk about losing our democracy, talk about how you lose your right to vote per illegal that is allowed to vote in this country. But he won't talk about that, because these are open-ended, vague insults.
Make no mistake, we have a year before this country becomes a full-on autocracy.
I wonder if his son would have, attacked him if the country was an autocracy. Maybe our current state of government is what drove his son, or maybe his paranoid delusion of Trump spread to his son. And his son walked in the house and seen an old white man, thought it was Trump, and started stabbing. His son walked in the house, paranoid, delusional, and high, and he's seen an old 78-year-old white man and a woman. He's like, oh, fuck, this is Trump and Melania. And just starts just going Kill Bill. Maybe that's what's happened. Who can tell me what happened? None of us were there. He's in jail. You know what's crazy? He has a $4 million bail. Double homicide, $4 million bail. P. Diddy taking his girlfriends on vacation, no bail. Taking his girl on vacation, taking his girlfriends on trips, no bail. Double homicide of a world famous director and his wife, his own parents, $4 million bail. You know what that is? That's $400,000 bond. So that means one of his high school buddies probably has more than that in between his couch cushions. What did he live like in $100 million estate up in Hollywood? Like they'll probably bail him out. He can bail out. 400,000 is not tons of money, especially when I remember my cousin had $150,000 bail, and I put one of my houses up to bail him out at like 24 years old. I had it. So I could really technically go bail out Nick Reiner right now. That's how low that threshold for bail is. I could literally put up one of my houses. I could put up one of my houses and say, hey, I want to get Nick Reiner out of jail. I wonder, maybe I should do that. And then just go take a bunch of pictures with him on TMZ. And then I'll just wear a t-shirt that says the single boyfriend on YouTube. And that might be my advertising campaign. I'm hanging out with the killer, young Nick. I'm just saying that's an option. If you think about it, listen to how paranoid and delusional this man's father is. He walks into the house. He's freaking out. He's paranoid. He's spreading the paranoid delusion to everyone. But your son comes in and he's high and he's, and then he sees you and he's like, what if this is Trump? And what if Trump broke into my house to steal our democracy? So really, he was trying to protect his father's democracy and accidentally stabbed his father and mother, thinking that it was Melania and Trump. Who's to say that's not what happened? Who's to say that the paranoid delusion that took over this kid's mind had him thinking he was looking at Trump? I mean, they're only, a year and a half apart in age. It would have Rob was wearing a hat. And he's like, oh shit, Trump's here. And he's on his way to golf. And he has all our democracy in his golf bag. Get him. Because I don't know what Reiner's talking about. I don't.
This is not a political party anymore. I don't know what this is. I believe there's a Christian nationalist movement that's very frightening. Do we want to continue democracy or do we want to slip into fascism?
The exciting thing is that none of these people can even describe to you the definition of what fascism even is. Let's read this comment. Mystical Moon Baby 80. And I'm not even making her do a super chat. I just want to read. I like to read comments. That's my Trump impression. I'm actually, I only practice Trump impressions when I'm on YouTube with you guys. So this is, her name is the Mystical Moon Baby. I call her Moon Baby. She mooned me as a baby. I don't know. That's, I got to get better at my Trump impressions. The way Trump spoke about Rob Reiner was vile and cruel, a way to bring about more pain to the family already hurting. Truly shows how heartless and cruel that Trump really is. Well, I don't believe words can generate and translate into cruelty. And I don't believe words hurt anyone. I've never seen someone say, F you, and then the person was like, pshaw, pshaw, like on Street Fighter, they just flew back. And then they stood up and they're just covered in bruises, and they're like, please, your words just, they hurt so much, stop. I've never seen that in all my years. There is no words are not cruel. It doesn't mean you're heartless. It just means we have a difference of opinion. You see this person in a different way than I do, but it doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. It's just my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. I can talk about gays. I can say I got an opinion about black people. I got an opinion about Cambodians and also Cubans. I have a lot of opinions, right? That doesn't mean I'm vile and cruel. If I don't like people, I don't like people. I don't have to like anybody. I'm an American. I have a right to not want to be anywhere near you. I don't have to integrate with you. I don't have to deal with you. And Trump was well within his rights to say what he says. And if you were watching this video from the beginning, please like it if you agree and if you see why, and the thing is this, people are drawing lines in the sand about this. Well, if you were criticizing people that celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, then if you do the same thing right now with Trump, then you're just, and I'm like, that's totally fucking different. Is Trump throwing a party tonight saying, yeah, Rob Reiner's dead? No. The new ballroom that he's building, is he in there with a jukebox and a little fucking strobe light right now? No, he's not. You can't compare Charlie Kirk being killed to Donald Trump reminding people that the man who just died was an enemy of his that declared war on him and his entire family. Let's not ever forget who we're dealing with and who we're talking to. Let's not forget. Let's be honest here. That wasn't wrong of Trump. And I don't, and it's like that people are like, are you defending Trump? Trump's a man who's still alive. Trump's alive and well. He doesn't need Rico Limbaugh to defend him. He can defend himself. He's a big boy. Okay, so I'm just giving you my opinion, which is every action has an equal or opposite reaction, right? Stop expecting more from Trump than you expect from yourself. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like and subscribe, share the video. We got some other controversial topics coming up in about 8 minutes. So I'm going to put this video up, schedule it, and then I'm going to start a new live. So hopefully you guys can come back and we can finish talking some more. I'll see you again in about 8 to 10 minutes. And remember, America first, America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.